Good evening, and if you're just tuning in, you're listening to 105.3 FM out of Mississippi and 107.7 FM out of the beautiful city of New Orleans, Louisiana, to UFO, Paranormal, and United Public Radio Network. This is the Angel Rock. Hang tight, guys. I see you, Michelle Wilfong. I'm just getting TikTok started as I usually do, and I haven't figured out this is the best way to get it to work, but I got to do it while I'm live. I thought I was going to beat the clock, but that didn't happen. So hang tight, guys. Michelle Wilfong, for anybody listening, she has a TikTok channel of her own over on TikTok. She is one of my mods, and check out her channel on TikTok. She lives in a haunted apartment, and she ends up posting quite a few interesting videos throughout the day. So check it out. Now I got one more button to push, guys, and we're good. So hang on. So many buttons to push here. I warned my wonderful guest here that this is gonna happen before we go live. Hang on. And I'm still sick, so please forgive me if my voice gives out on me here. Oh, I've got Heidi here. Hi, Heidi. Okay, let's get into things. We're all set now. Hopefully everybody behaves. Anyways, and I mean be everybody by where we're streaming to. My name is Lorilei Potvin. I am a Canadian psychic medium, crystal Reiki energy healer, Akashic Records practitioner, a spiritual teacher and mentor. I am also a registered nurse. I'm an animal communicator. I am well-versed in near-death experiences, having had one as a toddler myself, and I've studied them personally and professionally for over 40 years. And I'm extremely well-versed in the paranormal. I always say I didn't go looking for it, it found me. And we've shared our story on the Travel Channel's Paranormal Survivor Season 4, Episode 9. And you can find that actually on YouTube, Netflix, all over the place. What else do I want to tell you guys here? If you guys want to watch this on TV, you can. The network does have a channel. It's on Roku. You're going to go to the channel store and type in UFO space P as in paranormal. There's a drop-down list. We're about the third or fourth one down, and you're looking for UFO, Paranormal, and United Public Radio Network. There we go. Now I got it. Good thing my guests can't see all these red flashing signs. They're so distracting while I try to talk here, guys. Sorry. Roku doesn't want to play nice. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. So hopefully you guys can see us. It seems to kick in and kick out. If you guys, I always say, if you can't see us, you can't join the conversation. And if you've been to this show, The Angel Rock, or my second show that I co-host with my good friend and fellow medium and angel channel, David Hansel, on Thursday nights, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here it's called The Thing at the Foot of the Bed, then you can't join in the conversation, because both of these shows are very audience participative, but 80% of our audience is audio only. So the ways you can join the conversation, I apologize, we've got a bunch of different platforms, but you can pick any of these. You can go to my Facebook profile under Lorilei Potvin. It is public, so you don't have to be on my friends list to join the conversation. Remember, guys, we don't have our main YouTube channel right now. So we are on our backup YouTube channel for the network, which is UFO Gods and Extraterrestrials. Or you can go to my YouTube channel, which is the Angel Rock with Lorilei Potvin. We are also streaming to... Oh, I see I got an extra, I don't know. We got it. Oh, sorry, guys. People change stuff on me here. I just saw this now. I knew it was coming. We do have apparently another channel. I just went, why is there 3 YouTube channels here? International Public Radio is our brand new YouTube channel. So you guys can also watch there. We're streaming to Instagram under the Angel Rock. Sometimes it lasts for an hour. Sometimes it doesn't, you guys. So if you find that we've cut off, we haven't gone anywhere, what's happened is that I don't know why. Sometimes it cuts after an hour. Sometimes it doesn't. So you can always head over, like I say, to YouTube, or we're also on Rumble under Mystique 1508. And my little joke I always make every week, no, that is not a stripper's name. That is actually from an old channel of mine on Rumble, and it's actually from X-Men. And lastly, we're on TikTok under the Angel Rock. So join in. Now, what do I want to say here? You guys, I'm a little discombobulated right now. You guys know this. So just have patience with me a little bit. I know what I want to tell you. We are almost up to 40 live hosts on the network. We stream multiple shows live daily, and when we're 7 days a week. When we're not streaming live, the archive server kicks into the last 25 plus years this network's been around, and randomly puts shows in there. So there is something for everybody on this network. It's just not all UFO and paranormal. This network does broadcast to every country in the world, which is so cool. So we get people from all over the place here, which is so awesome. So, and if you like what you see, please like, share, and subscribe. Hang on, gotta switch pages here, and I gotta put my glasses on. Can't see the small print. So I'm gonna read my wonderful guest's bio. I couldn't believe before we went live, I was refreshing myself and I was telling her, I can't believe how much we have in common, and y'all will see once we get talking. My guest's name is Marzcia Techau. She's a Master of Science in Biology, a speaker, an author, spiritual teacher, Clairvoyant Counsellor, healer, Reiki Master, and Somatic Experience Practitioner, working with Peter Levine's Somatic Experience Method. For the past 20 years, Marzcia, I told her I tried to pronounce it properly. It's not that hard. It's me. It's a beautiful name she has. Marzcia has worked with a blend of scientific and spiritual understandings of life. A part of her master thesis was a healing study of plants at the University of Copenhagen. Later, she worked as a research assistant at a study of energy healing effects on cancer survivors at the University of Southern Denmark. And I should mention that to you guys. She's over in Denmark, so it's late at night there.
It's really late.
Thank you for staying up late. She's worked as a medium and has been taking clients for 22 years. In recent years, she has worked as a teacher of healing and clairvoyance, as a writer, and has been giving talks to a broad audience. In her teachings, her talks, as well as in her books, she emphasizes the relationship between natural sciences and the spiritual world by applying new knowledge and scientific research in her dissemination of healing. Human development and spiritual practice. I'm not even going to try to attempt this. She has written a previous book, translated to English, even though the book is only in Danish, is When the Spirits Come Calling. She's also participated in a number of articles, as well as TV and radio broadcasts globally, including The Spirits Return on Danish TV3. We're going to talk about a brand new book, which is Your Soul, Your Life, A Guide to Healing and Self-Healing. Thank you, Marzcia, for being here. I really, really appreciate it.
Thank you very much for that long introduction.
But it's important, though, because I think it gives people an idea of who you are and where you come from. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I love the scientific background, because that's where I usually go with what I call, what we do, the woo-woo, as people know it, right? And they don't realize it has such a basis in science, doesn't it? It really does. Mm-hmm.
That's also, as you as a nurse, this mixture of to understand how the spiritual world connects with the physical world, and that everybody is spiritual because everybody has a soul, and everybody has a soul connected with the body. That body is connected with the life in the everyday life. It's like everything is connected, and that's how our nervous system connects to everything. So it's, it's not as difficult at all.
It isn't. Let me say hi to everybody here. Like I said hello to Michelle Wilfong. Heidi Gall is here from Colorado. Oh, thanks, Michelle. She said she's heading over to TikTok. Let's see. Heidi just said, that's why I couldn't find UFO Paranormal Radio Network. Yes, that's why. And I set my show all up and somebody switched it around on me. I know who it was, and they did it as a favor. I appreciate it. But that's why the surprise when I sing, where did this third YouTube come from? Hi, Jody Madeline. I haven't seen you in a long time. You're asking how I'm doing. I'm happy to be here. Love doing what I'm doing. And we got Z-Sun Dragon, or as I call him by his muggle name, Kevin. Welcome. More people will file in shortly. So, Marzcia, I always start at the beginning. Did you always know that you were medium? Obviously not as a small child, but that you could always interact with spirits? Or how did this kind of start for you?
It started when I was in my teens. Then I started to have the dreams about death before it happens. So I have those what I call wake up dreams, where I had some dreams. I was very close to animals, because I was actually, people was too much. They were overwhelming me all the time. So I connected very much with animals, and I was born on a farm, not born, but I was grown up in a farm with a lot of animals. And And in that way, I connected very much with them. They were my friends. So when I was 18, I went to Iceland
Okay.
because I had Icelandic horses. And when I was in Iceland, I dreamt about a sheep that I really loved very much at home. And I dreamt that she was dying. And when some months, only about 9 months later, I went to Thailand because, I was out traveling free from school.
Must be so nice to be able to go to all those places when you're over here in North America. You're a long ways away. But
but then I dreamt that the horse that I was going to break when I was coming home to ride the first time, she was dying. So I had two dreams about dying that actually was happening before they were dying, and none of those two animals was sick when I left them. So the first time with the sheep, I was like, okay, how could it be that I knew that she was dying before she did die? And the next time with the horse, I had when I dreamt that she was dying, I waited around 5 weeks to phone home to my parents to hear how it was going, because I was so afraid that she was dead as well, and she was. So for me, it was when I was around 18, 19, it was very clear to me that I had some kind of contact that was non-explainable by the most rational or logic parts of my brain. So I couldn't really understand it. And I think that was some of the big one that made me wake up and started to look into the more spiritual direction. But it was first many years later that I actually started to get the training. I started Reiki healing when I was in the mid-20s, and then I had to take teaching. In Denmark, we have schools that teach clairvoyant skills, so I had to train it to control it. So it was more like I was a very sensitive kid, overwhelmed by people, and then slowly I had to accept that I had these skills. And a part of my life, I was really, really afraid of seeing ghosts, because I was like, I will die of fear if I saw a ghost. And now it's like business as usual. So it has been a very big change for me, but a big relief then when I really accepted that I had the skills and started to train them.
And I'd love to hear people's stories from the beginning, because I remember my first paranormal experience with a spirit. It was between 3 and 4. I'll be 60 in August. So, and I say that because when I share a little bit about this, when I was 8, turning 8, we had moved into a brand new home built from the ground up. For about 4 months, 5 months, every night at 3 a.m., I would wake up unable to breathe every single night. Could not get a breath in, get a breath out. Nobody could find out what was wrong with me. As a nurse, I know it was not asthma. Like nothing would go in or come out. And they put me on asthma medication finally, and it seemed to sort of settle down. But I've had, looking back my whole life, I've had experiences as a nurse, especially, and I'm writing a book about this because I was being guided by spirit so many times. Like, I worked a lot of night shifts, for example, and I'd have 60 patients on one side, another nurse would have 60. And I would do, after we call it report, right, from the next shift, I do one side and go up the other. One in particular I can remember, I literally heard so loudly, "You have to go into that room." And the room meaning would have been the last room I picked. As I walked in there, right out of report, I watched the poor gentleman keel over and had had a heart attack. But it would have already have happened by the time I would have got in there. So it's things like that, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's that happens all the time. Yeah.
And then the paranormal experience, we had the most extreme paranormal experience in our previous home. And that's what made me realize my abilities with all the research. Like, my partner was thrown 15 feet across the kitchen. Like, this was an insane experience. And now I look back, it's like, yeah, I guess this kind of has been around my whole life. Do you look back and think the same?
Yeah. It's more, for me, it's more like many, when I was finished with my my education as a psychic medium, one of my fellow students, she draw a picture. We should draw a picture to each other, and she drew one when I was a little elf flying over the treetops, and she was saying, "Marzcia, we really love you to be down on earth with us other people." And it's like I always felt that I had some kind of other. My soul has something that's more connected to nature, like a elf or a deva or something like that, that connected with the nature world, more like creatures of the nature.
Yeah.
So it's have been much more easy for me to be connected with nature, and I feel that very from the beginning of my life, this connection with flowers, with nature, with beings in nature, and of course animals. That has been such a big part of everything, where I really feel at home, and that is that has been with me from really, really small. So it's like, for me to accept actually that I'm human was the big one. And that's also why I had problems with dead ones, because dead ones is just normal humans without a body. But for me, it's still, they are very present. So my spiritual gifts has been a sensitivity connected with the purest energy in nature. And that's actually one of my gifts, but it has been with me all the time. But that I also, in retrospective, could see afterwards. That's why I have this feeling of being in one with everything, because that's actually how nature works. It's like everything is connected in a deep oneness, and I have this oneness as a really big part of my being. And part of my skill. So in that way, I can see, it has been with me all the time, but to accept the physical level, the human level, have been the problem for me.
Yeah, and I meet lots of people in our field that, it's like I don't feel like I even almost belong here. It's hard to relate to other humans. I was very, very shy and very, very sensitive as a child. Now, I never stop talking. I say making up. I mean, don't get me wrong, I can listen. But compared to when people would come over, like I would go hide in my closet, like I never spoke. And the same thing, and I used to get told all the time, especially by teachers and my parents, you're too sensitive. You're too sensitive, but we are. Let me stop for just 1 second. I'm going to say hi. We got a bunch of people popping in. Let me see. We have Ken Stockla. He says he's listening to our stories and saying, wow. Michelle Wilfong said there's amazing schools that teach clairvoyance, especially over in Europe. I have found, compared to, we're starting to catch up a bit in North America, but not to the levels of expertise and mentors and teachers that are over. And I've heard of many wonderful schools over, especially in the UK, Europe.
UK was really good teachers, yeah.
So we've got, Michelle Wilfong. She just said, I wish we had that here, because we don't, not compared at the level that you do overseas. Julie Jean Bassett is here. I'm going to give her a huge shout out. She's helped me in so many ways. You guys, if you're looking for an incredible animal communicator and healer, she can work earthside with animals, as well as she has mediumistic abilities. She has helped me with many of my animals, especially my son's kitty. My son's kitty's having a hard time. Also, she's an incredible shamanic practitioner. And I've had a session with her. I'll probably have one in the near future, I'm sure. And you guys check her out. She's at juliejeanbassett.com. She's amazing. And I say that not only is she a friend of mine, but she really is excellent at what she does. So I want to give her a huge shout out. Let's see who else we got here. Saw somebody else pop in. Maybe I didn't. If I missed you, just say hi again, guys. Sorry. I forgot Instagram too. Yes. Well, they don't integrate the chat from Instagram and TikTok's I got to bounce all over. So we've got Layla's Gacy Refuge, I think it is. Welcome. Glad you could join us. We got Aubrey Graham also joined us on Instagram. Welcome. Let's see. We had Ashley Phillips with Michelle Wilfong over here. You guys, if you have questions or comments, please feel free to put them in the chat and I will get to them, because this lady here, Marzcia, is, wow, she's got quite a history and experiences. And I went through some of these questions here. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. But I'm gonna go through it because I thought they were really well written and really gives us a wide idea of who you are and where you come from. So it says you're well known in Denmark for your work and haunted houses. That's what I couldn't believe, to find somebody in our field, because that's what I do too, helping.
It's so nice. Yeah.
It says both on television and as a central part of your career. Can you explain how you do this kind of work, or even how you got into it? And before you answer that, the reason why I find this fascinating, I find that most people, not all, but a lot of us in what would be the buzz term, the light worker world, really have nothing sort of to do with more of the paranormal-y stuff, right? So I really would love to hear what you have to say about that.
Yeah, fine. It's so how I started up. What's interesting, again, as I told you earlier, was that I have been so afraid of seeing dead people. This feeling of somebody there and they're there, and so I have this really intense wall around me, not to no, it's not happening.
Yeah.
So it was. It started when I accepted that I was seeing dead people, and the spirit world trained me in dreams. So I had dreams where I was standing and fighting, healing negative energy or spirits that should go from one place to another place. So I was trained in dreams, and then I started to accept that I was seeing dead people or feeling them. Actually, my skill is much more the emotional, clear feeling, emotional things, and then sometimes I see them. So in that way, they started to train me right early with that in my development. And then right after I was finished, I was 30 at that 30 at that time. I started to have 100 houses where I got out to people, helped them. It was just because people have the need for, if there is a spirit that is hanging in this limbo, the spirit is making disturbance in the living people's everyday life. So quite fast, I started to help people with that. So actually, I see this as a healing assignment. I heal the dead one, so they come home. Many of the people hanging in that limbo actually have problems, sorrows, anger. They are afraid of changing over into the light to see the loved ones, even though they miss them. They don't, I'm not deserving to go in there, and will they be angry at me? There is so much emotional stuff that keep people hanging in that level. So it's a healing assignment where I heal the dead one, so it actually comes to the right place and, can continue the journey in their life. Soul can continue, and also heal the living ones. So I started because mostly in my heart, I'm a healer. So I was quite fast. People contacted me to get that help. So it was actually people asking me for help, and I just did it. And then, everything was starting to go quite fast. And then, TV connected me, and it was one that I really, it was a client of mine that I really trusted, and said, well, I will only go into this TV show if you are doing it properly and you take good care of the participants and, everything. And I trusted her, and it was all right. They did a very good job. And then I was at that, and then, everything got hit. So it was,
and then everything opened up.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's like a very normal. It was so natural. It's like, okay, I'm working with healing now. I'm working with the dead ones. Oh, now I have to help the dead ones and the living ones. So when I go out to 100 house, I try to find out which person is actually the battery, which person have the skills that the spirit world connects with, the ghost, or the, what do you call one that's not passed over, right?
Earthbound spirit, ghost, whatever.
Yeah, so the earthbound spirit, often is there some way of connection between the living one and the dead one? So there could be they could have the same problems, or the dead one could, you can help me, or I can, dominate you. That could be many things, because the dead one hasn't the life energy anymore. It has to have energy somewhere to live. And if you have been, a dominating person when you were alive, then you will be it as a dead one, and you will get the energy by, pushing, frighten people, or dominating them. So in that way, you have to find a connection. So I find a connection, then I heal the living, I heal the dead one. I teach the living how to, just basic use their skills. Say, you have this open access to spirit world, because you cannot be affected if you don't have that contact. And then I have to train them in not having that contact with that dead person, but with someone they love from spirit world, or an angel, or something else. So it's actually also education of my client. So healing to the dead one, so it, comes the right place, healing for the living, and teaching for the living. And then
then usually things settle down. And you've said so many things that I just love, that I'd like to just point out again. You know what? I forgot Connie Martins. I remembered. Hi, welcome. We have Jody Cross from Australia. I'm going to point this out because this is for you, Marzcia. This is Janet Brimson. But she's over in Australia. Do you know Janet?
No, I don't, but nice. Hi.
She says, well, for people, I always read the comments, because for people that are just listening, right, they won't know what we're talking about. So she says, hi, Lorilei. I like Marzcia's nature energetic, is what she says. She likes your energy.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
No, you know what? I loved what you just said. And it's so beautiful, because I've often said, it's been such a taboo subject to talk about the paranormal and sort of the work that, where we work in the healing field, the energy field, the things that we do. And I'm happy that TV has come out and introduced that to be a more acceptable topic. But unfortunately, people don't realize that many of these shows, that's not the norm. There's a story kind of to tell, right? And I don't have a problem with it, but where I'm going with what I love what you do is you talk about the healing. And what really stuck out for me, and people forget this, right? Like attracts like energy. So like you said, finding that person in the home, is it a match for the spirit that maybe, or earthbound spirit that is being troublesome, or you explained it so beautifully about that we need that energy right from the other side. We don't have a body. And I often say, if you weren't a nice person in life, that's probably not going to change until you actually, as I call it, go back home, right?
Yeah, really.
But that's true. And most people don't make that connection that you just shared about finding. Not even the spirit even almost doesn't have to tell you why. You could feel it. But where I'm going with this is, who is the match for the spirit in the living world, and what you do? I think that is fascinating. More people need to learn about that. I hope they will learn about it, because I think we could help so many more people this way, don't you?
Yeah, I really do. And there's so many good things about it. The good thing is that when we start to inform more about that point, it will be much easier also to accept that we have contact to the loved ones on the other side. It's not something that you imagine. It's actually a real contact. It's just a shift in vibration, if you can say so.
Yes.
So when you connect with and also when we accept that we have a soul, and this soul is internal, so that it will not change in that way. But when you are in the physical realm, you have physical and emotional and mental problems that will lock your soul a little out of the body, or lock it inside tensions. And when a person is offered to go over to the other side, because every person, when they are dying, they are connected with what I call the pillar of light, the dimension where the loved ones from the other side stands and just really help you to go on the other side. Oh, welcome back. Oh, we miss you so much. Now it's time. But
we have free will, right? We have free will, even.
Yeah, even that. But what I see, the people that is hanging in that limbo there, they are not feeling safe in the light, or they don't even see it. And in that way, they are in a, it's not because they are in dark, but they are so locked up in emotions that are not connected with the soul. So if they were connected with their soul, they would, of course, just pass over like that. But when they are not that, they have some things that makes them being stuck here in the physical realm. So in that way, when we understand that, it's just a person with some heavy stuff that needs help. And even though they behave very bad as a dead person, they are still a little boy needing help. And when you accept that, and you can go through all the into it's easy, because then when you heal that, they will open their heart. And as soon as they open their heart, they will rather go back to mother on the other side than be hanging around here. And in that way, it's so easy. Two of the things is easy. Accept that we have a soul, and the living one can come in contact with the dead one, because the living one has a soul, the dead one has a soul, and we can connect likewise with our soul to soul. And the next one is easy as, okay, there is a dead one that makes problems because he has problems or she has problems. So if they get help and they don't have problems, they would rather go to the one they love instead of making problems. Oopsie.
I agree. We 100%, and people are agreeing in the comments. So hi, Nicole Thomas Ryan, Michelle Wilfong, just everybody's loving you here. I knew they would. Michelle Wilfong said, love that, meaning what you've been talking about. Heal both the spirit and the persons involved. Connie Martins just said, so wonderful to hear this. And it is, because, you said something, it was about 10 minutes ago, and I remembered this because it stuck with me. And you didn't use these words, but when you were asked to be on the TV show and you were explaining, now please correct me if I'm wrong, but I sort of got the gist of, you were asking this person, as long as this is done respectfully with the spirits, that's what I got from you. And I'm passionate about that. Go ahead, sorry.
No, that's a good, it's both the living ones, because when we make TV like this, it's so like, oh, it should be scary, it should be sensation, but I'm not there for sensations. I'm there as a healer. I'm there to make a difference for the dead ones and the living ones. And that's what I love by that program, was that it was we have two seasons, I think it's called.
Two seasons? Yeah.
So the show was like that. I didn't know where I was going. They haven't told me anything. So they had tried for people that had problems with spirit, all these paranormal things flying around, doors open, closing, everything like that, light and, shadows, all of that stuff. And then I was just put into that house, and then I should go around and check the house, and where is the dead one, and what's the problems here. And when I have found out of those stuff, connected with the dead ones, giving some facts, when you talk with the dead ones, they give you some facts. And then after that, the people living in the house was coming, and I was working with them, healing them, talking to them, educating them. All of that was recorded on TV as well. And then I did my work, healed the dead one to the where it should be, and healed the other ones. And then the TV crew come back to the participants after 3 weeks or a month or so, and talk to them about, is everything changed? What do you experience? And they have also double-checked the data that I was coming with, the facts that I was talking about with the dead one. So in that way, they started to, cross-check the data. So in the series was actually about me coming out, helping, knowing nothing, doing my job, and they came back and double-check. Did it work? And was the facts that I was talking about from the dead one correct? And I love that, because in that way it was cross-checked, and people was telling them that they were feeling better, they were better connected, interaction between the family, and they felt safe and everything like that. And that's actually very important to know, because sometimes when you are feeling sad or angry or tired, it could be spirit around that was feeling that, or draining your energy. So if you're healing the house, you're healing the living, you are securing the house, and you're healing the dead one, you can actually help a family to come back in a better harmony with themselves. So often when I do haunted houses, I don't do it so much anymore, but I do it with my students, because I teach them in haunted houses work.
Yes.
So a couple of times a year, I go out to make those haunted houses work, and that's mostly with children, young ones, where there's very much activity to help that family, because it's so important.
It can tear a family apart. And I believe the experience that I had in my previous home, and it was quite extreme, was to get me on my path here. I believe I probably chose it, and it probably would have taken something like that, because I wanted to go back to school to become a doctor and everything else, right? Life is nowhere near what I thought it would be, loving every minute of it. But I think I needed that type of experience, because otherwise I would never really, I'd taken a certified angel card reading course. I was sort of going that way, but I think it was the shove that it gave me.
Yeah.
That's why I said I love that you work in the paranormal field as well. Not so much like you said now, but you're teaching students also how to work in that realm. And I think it's important, because again, people see stuff on TV, and I've had people, and with no judgment, and I try to remember this, that it's not my job to judge, but especially a couple of years back, I was getting a lot of young people that were watching a lot of these paranormal shows and then mimicking what they were seeing in the show, taking something from a home, for example, that wasn't theirs, that was notoriously had a lot of activity, and then ending up with all heck breaking loose in their house with activity, right? But, I always say that you need to have somebody, I think, to mentor you and teach you, because we were talking about this before we went live, that this isn't what people consider everyday, regular life, right? And it should be meditation. We were talking about. That's why I think it's so important, the work that you're doing. I just wanted to add, Kevin, or Z Sun Dragon, says this totally resonates with him, and it's so great to hear it from Marzcia's point of view. So I love that you're doing that. It gives a different perspective, because I don't know about the shows over in Denmark, but I know over here in North America, and I say it's semantics. You can call it whatever you want, but TV calls it demons, right? Demons are everywhere. Demons, all over. And that's not quite what it is. I love that you just pointed out with an earthbound spirit. And there's many reasons why somebody may choose to stay here instead of going back home, right?
Yeah. There is. And I actually feel it's very important to educate young people to understand, and also to have respect for this kind of work. In old times, people were trained for years before they went out as a shaman or healers, or having this contact with the spirit world, with the ancestors. There were years of training. And now when we have people, youngsters with skills, they're not trained. They have to find out the best way they can. And many of them, if they talk about their experiences, they will be, looked at as they are mentally ill or something like that. So it's so important that we start to acknowledge that there are those abilities, and it's a part of the human resources that we are not fully understanding yet. But it's the future for our humanity to understand those, and the young people that are coming to Earth right now, or for the last, I've been working for over 20 years, and I have been seeing this increasing in really intense spiritual gifts coming with the young people. It's like, okay, I have a okay amount of abilities, but when I look at my younger students, I know I'm just, a teacher with shoulder they will stand on and develop something even more. And it's so nice to see that. It makes me feel hopeful for humanity, because
yes, absolutely.
The connection is so strong with spirit and with the divine. And that's actually the connection that we have lost in our way when we started to cut ourselves away from the soul and into the material world, where it was, only thing was, what can you see, what can you measure, then it's real. And now it's like we are in a understanding of how things work, so we can connect it again. But it has been 300 years where the science have been so much dominating, and the church has also been dominating and say, I have the soul, but the soul has when we have to connect everything again. Because
I agree.
We know so much more now, and the next level of knowing is actually knowing what we really can do as a human being.
That is actually part of what I love to talk about is, and I always say it's not from an ego or egocentric point, but the fact is, as human beings, never mind just our bodies, how incredible they are and the way they work, and they couldn't have been designed any more perfectly, but also the abilities that human beings have that we have been told that aren't possible. But we are, because everything you just said, I resonate with so much. I've been saying, as of over the last decade in particular, is it's almost like a new evolution of the human being is coming forth to Earth. Like, I agree 100%. Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
And the problem is they don't get the proper education
Or support.
or support for mostly when I talk to my students, is like, you have a Ferrari, you really have your skills, you have your body connected with your soul, you have the sensory system, everything is so, and you have this extraordinary sensory. My students is often highly sensitive, extraordinarily sensitive. It's like you have the safari, no, fiery, and you don't even know where you should put your key. And then we start to say, okay, the key should be there. And now you start the car, and now you try to drive it. And then, over time, it will be like, just really like art when you do this work. But we have to train our youngsters so they know the contact with themselves, the soul, the divine, the contact with spirit from the other side, the loved ones, and the physical world, because our soul is born here to be here.
I call it Earth School.
It's not to be disconnected from the divine. It's actually to be a divine living person in a divine living physical life. Everything here is divine. And it's like, we are not disconnected. So the young people coming right now has such a strong connection that it's so not right for them when they're disconnected. So
I think when you're disconnected, I was just going to throw this in, with that feeling of disconnection, nothing makes sense, right? It doesn't, like, especially when you're young, and it just seems, I don't know what better word to use. It's all disjointed, right? And it sounds like this is like I just love the words you use. Like you said, putting the key in the right place, turning the key and starting the car. I love that.
Yeah.
That's powerful. Now, we had a question. Connie says, hi, Tanya Martins, too. She says hello. And Michelle says she's wondering the same thing, too. I wonder how people dealt with connecting with spirits years and years ago. I'm sure that it happened then, too. What's your thoughts on that?
The thought is actually that they were much more connected before the science, before the church were having some directions about how it should be. Before that, there were shamans, there were healing wives, and there was this normal contact with ancestors. Many old cultures, or cultures that are connected with nature still, there's this really normal, totally normal contact with spirit.
Do you see who's on this? Do you see who's on the screen?
Hi, hello, Gavin.
I'm going to shout out, you guys. Gavin Lee Davies. This is Marzcia's.
Gavin, thank you for connecting. It's so it's so nice to be.
I already told her before the show she's open, Gavin. I know that Marzcia will tell you this too. I said every author that comes on the show, you guys, this is Gavin Lee Davies. He's the one that connects us with these wonderful authors like Marzcia, and they usually end up coming back more than once because there's so much to talk about. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but
so nice. Yeah, but one of the things is because in the Western culture, we have disconnected the contact with ancestors.
Absolutely.
And what I really liked was I have been trained by the English mediums where we connect with spirit, and I have been trained as a Reiki healer, and I have been doing a lot of all that. But I missed, there was a link that I missed somehow. And then I went to Maui, Hawaii, and I found a Hawaiian teacher, Sean Kiahi, and he was trained in this normal way where the ancestors is everywhere. They are in the trees, they are in the animals, they are connected with everything. And he taught me this connection between ancestors and God and the healing work in the most natural way. It's so natural as just breathing in, breathing out. It's there all the time. And in their culture, when he was looking at some of his children, he said, oh, that one is going to be a healer, and that one is very good at sports. So it's a skill like everybody else is a skill. It's like the same. So this one is going to have teaching in healing plants and healing and Lomi Lomi, which is the healing massage that they do in Hawaii. And that one is going to school and make a lot of sports. So he was just like, okay, so that one is training in that one is so like natural skills in a natural way of being with it. And it should be like that. You should have the training where you have your talents and where you have your happiness to work or do. Because when you have good talent in something, it's often also the way your soul is like, you come with a gift because you have been having that gift for many lives. You have been training that, and this is your next level of training this life. So you just have to train it, and when you do something you're good at and makes it's meaningful for you, it's like then it will be with joy instead of you're good at it but you don't feel any joy, and it should be in that way. No, it should be joyful. And this, for me, the work with healing and spirit and the connection with teaching students how to come in contact with themselves, they're using their abilities, is so joyful. It's like it's really nice.
I couldn't agree with you more. Even over the last month, it's been a difficult month, but I've been saying, and I do try to do this, and it probably isn't even a proper English sentence, but I always say I try to walk the walk of the talk that I share with others. So I, exactly what you said. doing something that brings you joy, even if it's 5 minutes, the practice of gratitude, be grateful for what we have, and you'll meet people say, I've got nothing to be thankful for. And so I've asked them before, well, did you have a roof over your head when you woke up this morning?
Mhm.
Yes. Did you have a bed? Yes. And I said, it starts small, right? And the more that we practice, say, gratitude or find that joy, I think that that's how we are meant to be as human beings. What's your thoughts on that?
I feel the same, because what I think is interesting in when you follow the direction of your soul is often the feeling of joy, meaningfulness, light, connection. So when you follow what's the potential within your soul, you are both in a better contact of yourself and your power, and also in better contact with your skills and talents. So you have your life force, because your soul is connected with your life force. When your soul is not present in your body, it's like a near-death experience.
Mhm.
The soul is out, and you can still have some experiences. You can see, you can have the contact with the spirit world, but the body is clinical death. But as soon as the soul enters the body, it's alive. So for
Yeah.
me, it's true that the soul connects with life energy. So the more that you live according to your soul, the more life energy you have. So you have better access to your power, your skills, your life energy, and that the spirit will try to, support us in a way that makes us happier and happier. And we are happier and happier when we are connected with our soul. So what we normally do in our physical life is we have to do this and this and this, and there's a lot of things where you're not connected with your joy or your meaningfulness. That's a disconnection. That's not how the spirit would like us to be in our world. That's not how we make our soul grow. And when you do something that you are good at, or you find peaceful with, or then you build yourself up, and then you will radiate out in the world and do good, because your soul is here to do good. So it's like it's so important to go with that, because there you have the energy to also overcome the obstacles and challenges that every people have.
I
Every person
agree.
has challenges, but how we have the energy to be with it and how we do it is very much connected with, if we are connected with our soul, it's easier, but it's still hard. If we are not connected, it could be devastating.
And we see that, again, with no judgment, but there's a lot of people, I'm sure, I know many clients over the years I've worked with, it's like, why am I here? I'm not happy. Um, Nothing makes sense. And I know there has to be something more. So, coming for whether it's healing sessions, or I do a lot of teaching and mentoring as well, even with, clients. Actually, I'm going to be teaching my first course I'm setting up with one of my best friends that works in the same type of field, because they're finding too, and we can't say the word on YouTube, but over the last, say, almost 5 years, I think people had a real shift and awakening, because
Yeah.
they realized that either they weren't happy in the life they were because so much time was spent together, or they realized that there's more to life than just, working 12 hours a day, doing whatever that is, right? And so people are shifting. They're looking to see there's got to be more than me just going to, work, coming home, eating, a meal, watching TV, going to bed, and waking up and doing it all over again. And I believe there is. Now, there's a question I've been dying to ask you, and it kind of relates back to your book. When you talk about the healing, like, let's take when you went into working with the earthbound spirits, and you kept mentioning about you do your healing. Now, there's so many different kinds of healing. Are you able to share a little bit about that? Like what you might be doing with a spirit versus a human being?
So just to understand it correct, should I talk about different kind of healings, or what I
Yeah,
do,
what would you do? Because you
or what I do,
different healings.
what I do when I meet a earthbound spirit. Is that so? The base of my healing skills was Reiki, because I got Reiki as my first teaching.
Mhm.
So I use. I often see Reiki as a clear light from the most divine source of
Mhm.
the universe, like a life energy of love,
Yeah.
universal love somehow. So I connected with that. So I always, when I work, I'm somehow connected with that wire of healing energies. Like it's out of my feet. I connected. I'm grounded. I'm anchored in that. So in that way, there's a clear contact.
Mhm.
Um, and later on, because I have the skills that I have, it was like, okay, everybody that's have something positive to help with in this healing from spirit is welcome. So I always open with Reiki, and then I invite angels, loved
Okay.
ones,
I knew you were going to say, okay. Yeah. Okay.
everything's there, ancestors, everybody that wants to be here helping, because actually the healer is not, we do not heal. We are channel for the
I call
healing.
myself the male person. I'm the
Yes.
male person. I'm just a connector. I don't do it.
No. I'm just holding the space, and the other ones
I
do.
like that. Yeah.
So it's like I'm just opening for the healing energy. I often say the healer is the only physical part of the team making the healing. So the healing is the connection between the spirit world and the person that gets the healing. So the readiness in the person is very important for the healing. The healing comes, the spirit world and the healing energy comes, and the person has to be ready to do the healing process. And that's actually where it's like it's a loving atmosphere where the client is met with love, and in that process they can heal trauma, they can make a shift in themselves and go into a better, lighter contact, or more energy based or soul contact with themselves. So this is a living person. When I do the healing work, I do like that. When it's a dead person, I do the same.
Mhm. I love it. That's why I was asking you, because we all.
It's just it has trauma.
I love it though, because for people hearing that, right? And I thought I wanted to hear, and I'm sure people in the audience did too, right? Because we all do things a little differently, and that gives people kind of a better picture, right? There's a lot of people that'll be hearing this, say, that are in the paranormal world. Maybe that'll give them some thought. Maybe I'm not telling anybody what to do, but what I'm thinking is, you're going in with a team. There's been some activity, and you want to be able to help the people that are living in the home. Maybe they might seek out someone that's able to offer healing, say like yourself. Or yes, I think I do similar. I do crystal Reiki, so I don't have as many symbols, but and I work with the chakras and stuff. But still, healing is healing, right? It's love and light. And then, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, so it is the same. As for me, the healing energy comes from the same source. Then it can have, it's like the rainbow have a lot of different colors, but it's still a rainbow.
Mhm.
And for me, healing is like it has a lot of different names and way of working, but it's still healing. But what's important for me is the connection to the purest and love, the most loving place in the universe. And what when I talk about the near-death tunnel, or people talk about the near-death tunnel, is like, oh, you are dying, and then you see the light, and then you come into the tunnel. There is full of light, and there is maybe a spiritual contact with, a loved one, an angel, or God, or it's so good, and then suddenly they're not afraid of dying.
Never.
But what I actually see is that we connect with healing, and I also connect with that dimension where where we, this feeling of being in the dimension, or being in contact with the dimension where we go when we die. Because we're not going there only when we die, we are there all the time. We just have to connect with that. It's a part of our, it's the part of everything. Our soul is a part of that dimension. and that dimension is a part of us. So for me, it's more like an kind of acceptance that it's around us all the time. And when you accept that, you can also accept that the spirit world is around you all the time. And when something is not really in balance, there must be a healing part there where the spirit world helps the one in spirit world. So earthbound spirits, I can create a healing realm for them, but the healing actually happens when the spirit, the mother or the father for the earthbound spirit comes and say, oh, it's time, and the healing, the trauma is released. And then, oh yeah, I also miss you so much. And
Yes.
then there is this process. So when you just go out, there's a lot of activities, a lot of phenomena, physical things happening and light going on. I always think, what about the spirit there? It's not their natural way of being. They should have help. They should have help there. It's not like, of course, when you go out there, they are used to be. I have been in haunted houses where, it was anger. It's trying to. The more power you have, the more anger this earthbound spirit tried to have. If you are angry, you release energy. They need emotional energy. So if you are angry, a lot of emotional energy, and that is stronger. If you are sad, if you're afraid, so it has a lot of energy there.
Yeah.
So I don't go into a direct conversation with earthbound spirit that's in a negative emotional state.
Frame of mind kind of thing. Yeah.
They could be pushed. I have been pushed. I have been, everything is like, you just have to know. You have to stand in your power, and you really should be strong there. But when the boundaries is okay, and you start the healing process, then I connect with the spirit that's connected with that earthbound spirit, and they do the work. I'm not going to fight here. I'm just creating a healing space, asking for the right ones to come and help, and then they do the job. And
I
then,
love. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
It's okay. And then it's easier.
I love that because I have a friend. I haven't had him on in a while. I need to. Augie Nost. He's from Norway, and I've shared often. He's got people to practice telepathy when you're standing in queue or in line. He always would say, stare at the back of somebody's neck when you're bored, and just think, obviously positively, not aggressively for anybody listening, but turn around, but don't say it out loud. And there's a few people, one in particular, a couple of weeks ago, she said she kept practicing it. She said it's actually very funny because she said the person turns around, they think you're talking to them. You haven't said a word, right? But I also mention this because for people going into a situation like this, he said, if you run into an earthbound spirit, and of course, not trained as well as you are, but he said, if you can, ask them to call on a loved one, like a mother or a father or the ancestors, like you said, to please ask them to come in and help. And it works, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Because we should understand why people often ask me, why is healers necessary at all? Why can't spirit world why can't spirit world just do what they should do? But then it's really important to understand that we are physical. We are here in the physical realm, but we are also a channel for the spirit world to come and help in the physical realm. The spirit world cannot enter the physical realm without being asked.
Yeah, I agree.
In that way. And you have to be open and ask for help. Or they can be around you, but you also have to somehow accept that the physical realm can have some it's more difficult for the spirit to enter the physical realm without an opening from a physical person. So in that way, it's like a facilitator or a channel, or it helps if you had a cell, if you saw it as a cell. Now I'm a biologist, so it's like, but you have a cell and there is a membrane around it.
Yeah.
But it has openings inside. So it, the surroundings will affect the inside of the cell unless you have this pores or channels access on the membrane. So it's like comes something inside the cell affecting the cell. So when we work here with the spiritual physical world, we have to have openings so the spiritual world can enter the physical world even more. But earthbound spirits has the problems here because they're not really over there and they're not really here. They are locked in the membrane. So we have to help them to pass over. And sometimes when they deal with their problems, they could be 300 years they deal with the trauma. One day it's like they open their eyes and, oh, it's done, they're over. So if they don't meet a healer or a person that, somehow can be a channel for them going into the light, then they will do it over time. When they
That's what my friend Augie said too. When he's talked on the show, he has said, you'll hear people say someone's stuck. A lot of times, especially if it's an earthbound spirit, right, we get mired down. And I love your analogy, stuck in the membrane of the cell, right? They're neither here nor there. But eventually and this was from my friend too, he had said eventually over time, and there really is no time on the other side, we know that's a man-made concept, they will figure it out eventually. It's like, oh, right? And they just sort of make a shift, and like you said, instantly cross over. But you know what I wanted to ask you? I want to talk about your book too. Obviously, I could talk to you for hours. It's so your new book, Your Soul, Your Life, A Guide to Healing and Self-Healing. I would love to hear what, just in a general synopsis, because we will give some breadcrumbs because we want people to buy your fantastic book. But why did you decide to read it or write it? And how can people use this book to help themselves?
Yeah, it's the book is actually much about self-healing, and it's very much about what we have been talking about before, about access to your potential within your soul, the life energy, follow the path of your soul, and actually also the meaningfulness and the joy and being in better contact with yourself, and help you to be more on your path in your life, but also to feel the support from the spirit. So it's like integrating the contact with spirit world or the divine in your everyday life as a part of you and a part of the life you live. So the book is about how can you strengthen that contact to live much more in accordance with yourself. Because when you are in that place with yourself, you have inner peace. You don't need a lot of much of the patterns we have is actually from very early in our life, where we should do something to be loved, or we are afraid of the ones that we love will be in danger, or everything. There are so many patterns that we have with us, so many traumas we have with us. And our body is a physical body, and it's developed from animals, and animals have a very clear nervous system that we have in our own system as well. It's like it's a autonomic nervous system that actually surrounds this. We sense the surroundings. We have alert. Okay, alert. Should I run? Should I fight? Should I freeze? I don't know what to do.
Or fawn.
So we have those freeze, fight, and flight reactions. So in that way, our body is designed to survive, but our soul is designed to live. And that's actually quite interesting, because when the soul enters the physical realm and the physical body, those two mechanisms has to find their balance. But when we have so much fear in our life, as we have as a human being, as we have right now, fear is the survival mode that keeps the contact to your heart and your soul a little distant.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to find a balance where we actually find out how do you strengthen the contact to our soul and releases the trauma and the high arousal that we have in our nervous system. And the freeze, that when we have a trauma, it's a freeze thing. You know, you cannot run, you cannot fight, you just freeze. And then you have a trauma in your nervous system and in your body and your mind and your emotions. So this book is about releasing those kind of traumas and, strengthen the contact, the healing contact with yourself. And in that way, I look at it as we have the soul. The soul wants to be connected with the body. The body really loves to be in contact with the soul because the soul has the life energy and the surplus of energy that makes it easier for you to be in your life. And in that contact, you also have a strengthened contact to your intuition, to the guardians that you have within yourself, and the connection with the divine and the spirit world. So the book is about living your life in a more full and united contact with yourself, the world, and the divine at the same time. So I look at it in three ways. A trauma is a trauma. If it's a trauma you have from past life, if you believe that you have been living many lives, there will be traumas in those lives. And when you are born again, you will, come into a lower frequency where the trauma is lying. So when you're a free soul, like, I will come back to earth, and this time I will really, do good. And I think I will work with despair this time. And you think it's up there, it's so easy. It's like there's no need to despair when you come down here and you have chosen to
Yeah, but
work.
then you have to live it, right?
Oh,
but then we can get into
no.
the topic of the guardians when we pile all the stuff on our plate, and then they remind us, I know this seems very exciting and there's a lot of potential for learning, but you have to live that. So maybe take a little off the plate, right?
So what I work with in the book is, okay, if you have a lot of traumas from past life, you could have traumas from your childhood, and you could also have traumas, transferred in generation, epigenetic traumas, but it's still trauma. So you can work with it as a normal trauma. So when you heal the trauma, you heal the patterns that the trauma has evolved, you heal the contact, so your nervous system is not locked and continue to be in survival mode, but relaxes and come into a much more, I can live and enjoy life. And there, as soon as you relaxes, the soul has, space again. And as the more space the soul have, the more you can feel the support and love from the spirit world, and you can feel the power within yourself, and you can live much better in the way that actually suits you and what you're here to do, because your soul is here to do something. It has a life purpose here.
Yeah.
So much of the life purpose is actually also to come through all the trauma. So, you do it all the time. So what's what I have those. Actually, trauma can come from three different directions: this life, past life, and your ancestors. The ancestors would like to help you very much. So as soon as you're ready to heal, they are there to help you. So I have a chapter about epigenetic healing, how to connect with the healing energy and your ancestors and do that healing process. Then, of course, we have inner child processes. What happens when you are just a little one in your mother's stomach? A lot of things is already, like imprinted within you at that time. So when you do the inner child work, when you do that as a grown-up, it's not like you heal your inner child. You heal the footprints the inner child have made. The child, the when you're a fetus, when you're a little newborn, when you're up to, you start to school, everything is like a footprints within your system. So if you have problems in those time of your lives, it's very important to heal that, so your nervous system can relax and you can be gaining contact. I call it retrieval of your soul. So when you have a trauma, the soul cannot connect because there's a lock, there's a blockage. When you heal that, the soul can interact again. You can integrate more of your potential. So I do that way. But what's also very important in that is we have a lot of good. We have a lot of good qualities from our ancestors. So when you do ancestor healing, you also get access to all the potential. The things that Sean he told me, the Hawaiian healer that I was taught by, is that you are the crown jewel of your lineage.
Love it.
You stand on the shoulders of them, and you come with the new. You carry the hope and development in your generation, but also to future generations. Mm-hmm. So in that way, they have survived. You have that power within you because your lineage has survived. Many haven't. Yours had. And that's a really strong power. And they love you, and they really enjoy and know that you will succeed in your life. So in that way, they have a really big, choir of people standing there just like, oh, no, that's good. Come on, you can do it. They are there. The ancestors are doing that. So my book is talking about how to get in contact with them, and also in contact with the good qualities within your lineage that actually matches your soul. Because you're here, the soul is here, and the soul will never come into a body where it cannot fulfill its life purpose. So your body has all the potential within itself that is connected with the potential to outlive your soul potential. So when you're connected with your lineage that has the genes that will help the soul to express itself. Mm-hmm. So that's a part of the book. Inner child work, trauma work, epigenetic healing work, a lot of exercises in self-healing exercises that help you to understand your nervous system, connect with the spirit world and the healing energy, and sense this feeling of when you start to connect. I call it the pillar of light, but as I told you earlier, it's like a development from the dimension where people enter when there's a near-death experience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We don't have to, we are there when we sleep, we are there when we meditate. It's just, are your sensory system connected with that dimension? Yes. Mm-hmm. You just have to train that. It's like it's around you all the time, and it creates this very loving, peaceful place around you. And what's interesting with our nervous system, that's again the biotic thing, is your nervous system. As a child, you cannot regulate your own nervous system. You regulate your nervous system in accordance to your parents' nervous system or the surroundings. So if they are tense, your nervous system is tense. And if they are never relaxed, your nervous system have not learned how to relax. But what's very interesting here, I couldn't relax myself, but when I started to use the healing energy and be surrounded by the peacefulness, the love, the caring from the spirit world, then my nervous system could relax, because it could say, oh, it's safe now. Mm-hmm. I could relax. And there, by that, my nervous system started to heal up. And that's what I'm also talking about in the book. You don't have to sit and meditate and try to find your inner peace. It's around you. And when you mirror that inner peace, you can come in contact with your inner peace. And then you have inner peace. Oopsie.
I'm rarely speechless, but hearing this book that you have put out, I think is truly one of the most important books out there of our time. To bring that all together in mind, body, soul. And I love what you said about meditation, because when you get a lot of people that'll say, I can't meditate. And just I say, that's okay. But even if you can just find a quiet space, or, but where I'm going with this is, to practice some of the exercises in your book, to go within, right? To start doing this healing work. Because that's what I think meditation is. Like, as you see me squirming around my back, I don't complain about it. It is what it is. My back, I can't sit for long. So I squirm a bit, but that's okay, right? Where I'm going with the meditation though is the same thing. Just little bits and pieces here and there. But with the healing too, is what I'm trying to say. I have said this so many times and I truly believe it. All of us can use healing. And throughout our entire lifetime, when it's needed and when it's called on. And I love that you have covered all aspects. You've made this so easy to understand the way you've explained it. And you know what? The same thing, going back to the meditation. I've said to people, you don't have to go sit on top of a mountaintop in the lotus position for, 8 hours. I like to, when I'm working with students, for example, it'll be guided by spirit, but I will work with students and we'll do a meditation together. But it's basically through spirit creating a safe little space to go to wherever the person wants. And maybe you need healing, but maybe you've got questions to be able to go there. Just if you can try to relax a bit, especially after some healing too. And to be able to hear, because I think we can all connect to our guides, our whole team, as you said it. And I think this is, like you said, starting to put the key in and start into the ignition and starting the car. I think this is powerful. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, but it is that easy because the thing is, we are in our soul, we have this peacefulness and connectedness and oneness. So when you relax, just physical relax or mentally relax or emotional relax, you already has this little much more relaxation. And if you focus there, it will develop from there.
Yes, that's what I was trying to say. You said it so beautifully. You did. You said it so beautifully. It's not trying to force it, right? Like when I'm working with students and, I remember I was there at one time, like, well, when am I going to connect? When am I going to talk to my guides? When am I going to know their names? What angels are around? All these questions. But I suddenly was able to realize one day that it's not just to be open, to breathe, to relax, and to listen. Because we are not taught as human beings to be able to listen, maybe hearing, but not listening, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And also what I found is because one of the first things now you was talking about earlier about my development with my skills. And as every farm girl, when they have to study, they go into the city.
So that was a big culture shock.
It's like I went to Copenhagen, which is the capital of Denmark, to study.
Yes.
And of course, I moved into this. It was not a hospital anymore, but it had been a hospital.
Right.
And it had been a home for people that couldn't afford to pay rent. So it was like a free home for homeless.
Oh, wow.
And also a free home for elderly ladies that didn't have any husbands. So I moved into that house. Now it was, small apartments for students and everybody. And when I moved in there was so much spiritual activities. So it was like, I do not believe of anything of this, but I was seeing a lot of old ladies without legs.
Gosh.
It's like, no, it's not happening. No. Mirrors falling down the wall. No. And of course, I had the room, farthest away from the toilet on the stairway.
Oh no! So you had to go a long way.
A long way, and it was, it's like in Denmark we have those when you have to have on a long hallway. It's like you push the button and it's like, and it takes so long time before
the elevator. You mean? Was there an elevator? Oh.
Pardon? Yeah, and then I didn't accept that I was scared, but I was so scared. So I started to connect with, and in Denmark we have an old song with angel of the light. And I was just like, this angel of life is coming down behind me and it's holding me and it lights up the path in front of me. So I was starting to connect, and I think I was 21 at that time. I was just using the angel to go to the toilet every night, and it created a safe space. And at that time, I didn't think about that it was something spirit or something like that. It was just like I could feel the light and I could feel protected and I could relax. And when I was relaxed, I was much more in, control of myself. And I used that contact. Actually, it was first 20 years later when I was writing my first book, the one in Danish. I figured out, actually, I was calling my guardian angel at that time. And after that, I've used my guardian angel all the time to create this safe space, because my sensory system reacts on the angel energy and feels safe. And when I'm safe, I'm grounded. When I'm grounded, I'm present. When I'm present, I'm in control of my life. So we were talking about this because for me, a healing sessions with the healing energy or with your guardian angel helps me to get into the inner peace that I couldn't find. So I use this as you use the guidance to guide the healing meditation. I use the same way of contact with spirit world to guide the healing meditation, but I also create a healing space around each client or student. And the healing meditations, I have some free healing meditations on my website, Marzcia
You're
Techau.
reading my mind, because I was just going to bring that up next.
and there you can try yourself, the listeners, to have this contact when you use the healing meditation, because it's not just a meditation, it's a healing meditation connected with healing energy, creating a space where you can heal your traumas or where you can find peace and where you can grow as a person. And those meditations, the ones that's free, I have been recording them in English, so you can use them as English speakers. It's some of the free ones are developed because what I have used in my own development to, disciplining my sensory system, have the contact with spirit, feeling safe, developing my skills in my own path, my own tempo. So those, I think I have 6 free healing meditations. All of those are connected with trying to make you feel yourself better and come into your inner peace, connect with your soul and the spirit world. So you can try that.
I signed up because Jody just said, thank you for sharing this information. I don't usually tease Jody, but sometimes Mish is here from Australia. So I always say she's in the future because it's Tuesday morning over there already. So I do want to give Ethereal Encounters Unveiled a shout out. They are newer to our network. Marianne, that's her show. And her show is on Thursdays from 5 to 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right before David and I's with the thing at the foot of the bed. And I'm going to be joining Marianne this Thursday. So I hope everybody will tune in. We're going to have a lot of fun. I believe we're going to be talking about, please forgive me, Marianne, I think we were talking about basically connecting to your own abilities and connecting, how do you make that connection and then go from there. It's going to be a lot of fun, though. She's absolutely lovely, you guys. So please check it out. And I see she popped in here. So she said, thank you. Well, of course, we got to support one another here. Absolutely. You know what? We've got a little bit of time left. This has gone by so quick. I know I'm not even going to get to most of the questions I want to ask you, because you said something really powerful at the beginning when we started, right at the beginning of when you were making this connection to your abilities, about, you said you had dreams about your beloved horse that were dying. And the question that, like I said, these are the most beautifully written questions. They really are. I don't usually use them, but I love them. And what's written here, you have had dreams warning about death. Is that kind of premonition normal for people with psychic abilities?
I often hear about it both in my clients and students. It's a way, because when you are letting go of your everyday thought, everyday focus on the physical realm, then you open up for the non-physical realm.
Right.
And dreams are part of that. Often the spirit will try to communicate with you in dreams. And they can come with training, they can come with warnings, they can come with, try to prepare you for something. Many of my clients talk about disaviews because they have been dreaming about something that happens later on. And for sensitive persons, it's often very important to be prepared because they are so easily overwhelmed. So what should the spirit do? Try to prepare the person for what they're going to experience. So it could be those kind of clear dreams where it's like it's a message to you, it's about something is going to happen. So it's those premonition dreams are quite normal. And it's also, for me, it was something that I couldn't talk myself out from because it was so clear and it was happening so much. So it's a way the spirit can reach you when you are letting down your armor somehow.
You're open. Yeah.
So normal when people shut out the light, turn it off. When you cannot see with your eyes, you start to sense your sensories. You start to sense with your other senses, and that's when they often sense that there are spirits around. And they are afraid because they don't sense, is it my grandfather, or is it one that shouldn't be, is it then they first often think, it's one of the earthbound, they will do me harm. But no, it could actually be your loved ones from the other side, because when you are not using your eyes, you use your other abilities to sense. And then they are there. They have been there all the time. It's just like when you close your eyes, you can sense them. So, and when you start to relax because you're going into sleep, you let go of some of the, brainy thoughts and start to be much more in contact with your body. Actually, when you have to do this kind of work, you have to be connected with your body and your sensory system, because you use your sensory system to see, to hear, to feel. And that's what we do. We connect with spirit, with our sensory system, with our senses. So we're connected with our body. So again, when I train my students, I connect them with their body because they need to use their sensory system. So when people have dreams, it is because right there, the spirit world can enter and try to guide them or help them or talk to them. And that's why I often, when I have when I use my mediumship, there's a loved one coming, the loved one say, I have been there in dreams. And then I say, would it be, can you recognize that you have been dreaming about this person often? Yes, it's because he's there. So it's a normal way.
I want to share a comment that somebody left me, and I actually saved it because I thought it was so powerful, what we're talking about right now. The first law of creation, and this is by a woman by the name of Jennifer P. I don't know if she wants me to say her whole name, but she said the first law of creation is that you exist, and in some form you always will. You can't change that. And then she says, if the universe was a house and your loved one, then it would be that your loved one that you've lost or has crossed over would just be in another room. They may visit you in your dreams and ease the horrible pain that their passing has left on your heart. You will always be connected. And I just thought that was so beautiful. Like, how beautiful to explain it, because, people think that we think heaven's way up miles away. And it literally is, if you will, in another little room or a veil between us.
Yeah. It's so close.
I thought that was so beautiful when they shared. I had to screenshot it because I thought, what a beautiful way to explain things. And especially with the explanations you've given. Now, Carol Ann had added, she said, that is so true with what you were saying. She says, I didn't dream about my husband who passed 3 years ago until I told him before I went to bed that I was afraid and to please visit me. And then he did. It happens a lot and I love it. Thanks for sharing that, Carol Ann.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, and that's right.
Mm-hmm. The one thing I'd love to point out to people, though, because certain people you'll work, I'm sure you encounter the same. Somebody dreaming of a death or an impending death, it doesn't always mean that someone's going to die, right? There's many different reasons behind it, but I think you said some very important words. Those dreams that you had about your beloved sheep and the horse, you said you couldn't shake them. Like it was, I forget the words you used, but you knew the difference. Like this was something really powerful, right?
Yeah, that's right. And I normally use to explain the difference. The spirit world gives us a lot of signs and try to help us. But if we do not listen, they have to, speak in very loud language, very loud vocabulary. And what will get people to react is often really scary things. So my mother-in-law had a dream that her mother was dying. And I was like, and she talked to me, Marzcia, she's going to die. I said, maybe it's not that, but if she was dying, what would be important to do? But then we have to clean up and find the important papers and do something that should be easier. So she went over to do the cleaning and, what should be thrown out and what's important. And her mother and my spouse's grandmother didn't die there, but they were doing really important things to, what was important to have with her to the next home, which would be a smaller home. Right. So when it was time for that, it was easy to move her. It was so easy.
So it wasn't a dream wasted or time wasted.
It was okay. If we do not tell her that her mother is dying, she will not react and do what should be done right now. But now she did it and it was all right. So sometimes, they try to do things with us that points a direction. And if we're not listening, they have to do it even more, And then it could be a little over the hill, but it's it's what's normal or what's necessary for us to react.
Yes, we have to trust that, you've got this whole team. That's what I always say to people, we never really are alone, right? And it's recognizing and connecting. We all have a team behind us, a whole team. Like, I love that you brought up ancestors, because there was something somebody else had said to me in the last month, and I hadn't even thought of it. And they said to connect not only with my ancestors, but my concurrent as well as past lives, because you have the strength, the wisdom, the knowledge, and the support there that you will be able to access. And I thought, wow, that is so powerful, right?
Yeah.
So I love that you brought up the ancestors too.
What I actually also find it's something I only mentioned a little because it's nearly a book for itself. But when people like Michael Newton have done the research on past lives, getting them back to past lives, it's clear that we also have many of the same souls that we are born with many times. If that's true, and I believe it's true, then some of your ancestors is also your own incarnation.
Yes.
That's what I call cross lives. Cross lives where the soul is connected with your ancestor that's actually yourself. And that's what I actually find quite soothing to think about, because that means that my soul with my capacity have been born into my lineage many times. And that means that my skills and the genes are connected. So that's why my soul and my body and genes are clicking the right spot, because I have been born into my lineage so many times doing my past lives.
Yeah.
And that makes sense for me, because
Me too.
there should be this balance. But that also means that some of the trauma transferred epigenetics is my own. And that's also very good to know, because when I saw, when I releases my trauma here, I will release it in my
Absolutely
as well. And when my lineage releases trauma, because it's time for them to release, and there is a living one that said, I'm ready to do the release, then they say, yes, I don't have to be born again to release it, because we now. And in that way, the cross lives are quite interesting, where you are your own incarnation and your own ancestor.
We are out of time. I don't know how this is, like, usually I say Thursdays are the fastest day of my week, just because with David, my co-host, and the things we get talking about, this has just flown by. So where can people get a hold of you? Do you have anything coming up? And more importantly, where can they buy your book? It sounds like you have some more books coming too. I can't wait.
Yeah, we'll see. But my book is on sale on. It should be on every bookstore. You can require it from every bookstore. It's online. It's on Amazon. O-books and O-books, and my publisher has. It's all around, so you can buy it everywhere. Yeah, you can just buy it. It's released in the States the 1st of January this year, and it's all around the world, everywhere. So you can just buy it everywhere. So it's in Europe, it's in Asia, just buy it. And I have this homepage where I am. Where you can buy the healing meditations, and it's different subject. It could be healing with ancestors, it could be healing with angels, it could be healing inner child work, communication with spirits. I have different kinds of healing meditations to create the contact and train you and heal you. So that's a possibility. And then I also have something on Facebook called Spiritual Mastery with Marzcia, where I every Saturday have a little something from Marzcia. It could be a healing meditation, it could be a little reel, it could be something that just to, help you to remember to do some spiritual work each week.
Okay. I love that. So you guys, to remind you, the title of Marzcia's book, it's Your Soul, Your Life, A Guide to Healing and Self-Healing. Are you able to give them the website address for where they can access the meditations, Marzcia?
Yeah, it's my name, so it's marzcia.dk.
Perfect. I have it.
English one, marzcia.com for the English one.
Okay. I think I have it written up too. If I haven't, I will go back to it, but I have it written up in the event as well, where to find it. And I want to thank you. I hope I can have you back again. We barely scratched
I would
the
love
surface.
to be back. We are not nearly finished with all the
Not
things.
even close. So definitely.
I would really love it. It has been such a big joy. And thank you for all your listeners for attending. It's so nice with your questions and your feedback.
So we have a beautiful audience. We really, really do. And like I said, 80% is listening only, but we got a regular crew that shows up here. They've got great questions, great comments. They're so kind to everybody if there's somebody new here. And I thank them all the time for that. So you guys, so coming up next, if you guys are enjoying what you're seeing, the Light Gate's going to be up next with Preston Dennett and Dolly Saffron. They always have a great show, so stay tuned.
Yeah. I have this one, of course. So you can see
that
the name. Yeah. So that's
the cover.
It's me, actually. Yeah.
It's the cover, everybody. So
Yeah.
now you've seen it. Also, if you guys ever want to get a hold of me, I do psychic and mediumship readings. I do crystal Reiki. And I just was talking to my friend Leanne. I keep saying, Spirit keeps reminding me, Lorilei, you need to film a video to show people what you do, because people have no idea that it works with the chakras and your energy field and the whole bit. But I do that. I also do spiritual teaching and mentoring. Like I said, and I've been telling you guys, right now you can get a hold of me on facebook.com/Angel Rock, but I will be having a domain name coming up. I have a course coming up. My best friend, Leanne Clark, she's been on the Angel Rock before with our other friend, Debbie A. Anderson, and I'm going to try and get them on before the summer again. You guys love them every time they come on. Well, Leanne and I are putting the course together. Was going to be March, but unfortunately, just with me being sick and a few other things, it may not be till probably sometime in April, beginning of May, but I will definitely let you guys know all about it. We are also hoping to build a bit of a community with that too, so we'd love to have you be a part of that. I have 2 groups on Facebook, Paranormal University for all things paranormal, the Angel Rocker Tribe for all things spiritual. Don't forget, this Thursday, 7 p.m., Dave and I will be back with the thing at the foot of the bed. We also have our group on Facebook where you guys can post questions, show ideas, videos, whatever you'd like to see. And that's the thing at the foot of the bed with Lorilei Potvin and David Hansel. So next week, we are having Jess Curzon come on. You guys may or may not remember her. We blur her screen, but she is another one of Gavin Lee Davies' authors, and she's written a book about Asher, and Asher headhunted her as a young, almost nonverbal 6-year-old to work with her. He remembered the soul agreement they had made together. So she's coming back on next week. So it's going to be a fun show. It's always a fun show. Thank you again so much, Marzcia.
Thank you very much.
And I thank all of you. Stay tuned for Dolly and Preston next, and I'll see you next Thursday, this Thursday, and next Monday as well. Much love to everybody. Stay safe, and we'll see you soon.